America, the reason why you've not heard about the things we're talking about tonight, Fabian socialism and the idea of the early 20th century progressive movement, is because it's very hard to explain, it's very complex, and they make you into a lunatic if you talk about it. That's why I ask you, don't believe anything that I say. Please don't take it as gospel. Look this all up yourself. You will be... I believe everybody on my staff, as they do research themselves, and I say, no, go get this, go get this, go this, I think they began not believing me. Now, I think, I just talked to somebody in the control room, they said, I think it's very clear, Glenn, but horrifying. It is, especially when you start to see the pieces all come together, which we'll try to do for you tonight, but we're running out of time. Fabian socialism, told you, started in England and has spread here. It has been here for a very long time. It is the same stock, just a different name, as the progressive movement. And they are using the persuasion of power. Let me show you the Fabian shield again. This is the shield. This is their coat of arms. Can you tell me what that is? That is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, why would you have that as your logo? There's another logo of the Fabian socialist. It is this, the turtle, with the words underneath, when I strike hard. A turtle isn't exactly used as a common animal for imagery. Why the turtle? Because it's slow, steady. They make progress. And when they strike, it is the doctrine of inevitability of gradualism. He is gradually coming, but when he's ready, he strikes, and he strikes hard. And they are about to strike globally. I want to show you something that hit me this weekend when I heard about the elections in Brazil. Look at the globe and the elections and who's in charge. First, we go to the UK. It all started there, Fabian Society. Did you know that since 1997, there have been around 200 Fabian MPs in the Commons, including nearly the entire cabinet, including Tony Blair? Australia, the new Prime Minister is in the Progressive Australian Party, was formerly in the Socialist Forum. Now, she has denied that she's a communist. She told the press, and of course they didn't follow up on this, that she was just a secretary for the communists, licking envelopes. In Brazil, Lula, the Workers' Party, first elected in 2003. Well, he's picked his successor, and expected winner now is a woman. She's great. Don't worry about her. She was only a former Marxist guerrilla who was in prison in the 1970s in Brazil. Venezuela, we know about Hugo Chavez, United Socialist Party of Venezuela. Bolivia, movement towards socialism, first elected in 2005, re-elected in 2009, and reportedly eyeing a third term. Nicaragua, Ortega, Sandinista National Liberation Front, that's their socialist party. Greece, Prime Minister, socialist movement. Austria, Social Democratic Party. Oh, kind of like the people that were marching this last weekend at the mall. Portugal, Socialist Party, first elected 2005. Slovenia, Prime Minister, Social Democrat. And the United States, Barack Obama, a progressive. There's no star chamber here, gang. There's nothing. There's nothing. It's all out in the open, and you can find all of this information. And yet, they are a wolf in sheep's clothing. And they're starting to reveal their fangs. What I showed you from George Bernard Shaw, the eco-monsters, the baby-smothering lady. Again, let me show you the eco-monster advertisement from here in New York. All of this might sound evil to you. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, it's not wrong, but this is evil. It is evil. How much more do your neighbors need before they start to wake up and start reading? Stop name-calling and just look at the facts. Let me go back to this, Rules for Radicals. Do you remember the dedication in the book, Rules to Radicals? It is this, quote, "To the first radical known to man who rebelled against the establishment and did so effectively that he at least won his own kingdom, Lucifer." A book which is featured and highlighted on the NEA recommended reading list now. Saul Alinsky, quote, "Simple formula for success: agitate, aggravate, educate, and organize." That's up on the NEA website. You know what's really strange? One of the early famous slogans for the Fabian Society was educate, agitate, and organize. May I ask, are you beginning to see why I have said the 40-day and 40-night challenge is important? I believe we are facing evil. Not that these people are evil, but why else would these people be in wolf in sheep's clothing? My grandma, what big teeth you have. The response was, yes, the better to eat you with, my dear. I started the top of the hour with problems, lots of problems. All of these problems that were on the website today, just economic problems. But don't you understand? All these problems are leading us to ask the kind sheep for the solution. The sheep are providing the solution, but they are not sheep. We are. They are the wolf. When you put all of this in context, you see how it's all coming together. Again, not in some conspiracy at all. You start to understand a few things. Again, like this quote from Barack Obama that was in Rolling Stone's magazine. He said, it's a point of view that I think is ultimately destructive for the long-term growth of the country that has a vibrant middle class and is competitive in the world. What is destructive? Fox. Well, yes, Mr. President. You're damn right. You're damn right. We are dangerous to this kind of ideology. We're shepherds. And we'll protect the flocks as long as we can. Flocks, time to wake up. Back in a minute. I fear I'm going to run out of time tonight, but we will pick this up tomorrow, and this is a show that you need to watch, and then research on your own, please. Tonight, you've heard about Fabian socialism. You've heard about some famous Fabian socialists, but why are we bringing it up? What relevance does this have to you today? To answer that, I want to introduce you to this gentleman. This guy's name, and you should have known him, but nobody's ever heard of them, Stuart Chase. Chase was a member of the Boston Fabian Club, and he wrote a little book here. It's called The Road We Are Traveling. I would tell you to read this book, but this book we had to have overnighted. I think we found this only in a library in Arkansas. This is the only one we could find of it. In this book, he outlined more than a dozen things that he observed that were happening that would result in replacing the free enterprise system. Now, he said the free enterprise system would be replaced by something he envisioned just called X, because the structure was still being molded. The names he threw around were socialism, state capitalism, which is exactly what the world is headed for, and that's what all the globalists call it, China, state capitalism, and fascism. However, he said these terms would only lead to confusion, so he only called it X. But here are the things that he saw. He said the first one is a strong centralized government. Now, do we have a strong centralized government? An executive arm growing at the expense of legislative and judicial arms. How many unelected czars are there in this administration? The number 3 thing on the list was the control of credit, banking, and security exchanges by the government. Bailouts, takeovers, massive new financial regulation. Another characteristic was the underwriting of employment by the government, either through armaments or public works. How about the temporary jobs for 225,000 census workers? Number 5, the underwriting of Social Security by the government, the old age mothers' pensions, unemployment insurance, and the like. Social Security, check. Old age pensions for unions, yeah. Union leaders, check. Unemployment insurance, done. If you look at this list, is there anything on this list that we haven't accomplished? Anything. And this is just the first baker's dozen. We'll give you a few more. And then why would we go to all the trouble to find this book when the war ends? Why would we go to all this trouble? Who cares? How's important? We'll tell you next.
Is there any doubt that they will raise our taxes, that they will make government bigger than ever, and deficits even worse?
Yeah, go us. I Want Your Money. Coming soon. Rated PG.
We have shown you some interesting Fabian socialist observations, things that would lead to replacing the free market that had been achieved here in America. Done by a Boston Fabian Socialist member, Stuart Chase. Here he is. This is the Fabian Society, wolf in sheep's clothing. I think you would be on the wrong side if you, wouldn't you? Anyway, he put it all in a book called The Road We Are Traveling. We had a hard time finding this book. This is the only copy we could find, and we found it in a library in Arkansas. We are definitely traveling down this road. This is what he said. Strong centralized government, growing executive arm, control of the banking system, underwriting of employment by the government, underwriting of Social Security, underwriting of food, housing, medical care, use of deficit spending, the abandonment of gold, government control of foreign trade, control of natural resources, control of the energy sources, control of transportation, control of agricultural production. By the way, have you heard the new thing about farmers and dust? That if your dust blows to somebody else's, they can fine you on that. Anyway, enlistment of the Youth Corps. That's a fascinating one. I think I've heard that recently. Heavy taxation and state control of communications. Got it? Now, why does it matter? Why am I bringing up this little dusty book? This author, Stuart Chase, he observed capitalism being replaced slowly but surely. He wrote about this in 1932. He wrote about all of this, and he said, this is what's coming. Do you know why? Because he was the guy who wrote a book titled A New Deal. Sound familiar? Yeah, that New Deal. FDR made the New Deal a part of his speech when he accepted the Democratic presidential nomination the same year. He was part of FDR's kitchen cabinet. In 1937, the president told Chase's father that his son was teaching the American people more about economics than any of the others combined. Sadly, you may not know about Stuart Chase, the man who saw the future, the man who designed the New Deal, a Fabian Society member. Sadly, he's teaching us all a lesson that continues to this day. You don't want to miss tomorrow's show. We continue this tomorrow with some clarification. Spend a little more time because we've covered a lot of ground. And also a look at what's coming our way. On Friday, one of the more emotional shows that we've done on the Glenn Beck program, an entire audience full of Americans who accepted the 40-day and 40-night challenge. Set your DVR, don't miss an episode. From New York, good night.